Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success, and what they have learnt along the way. Well, hello and welcome to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today, I have the delight of introducing you to Colleen Biggs, who is an award-winning peak performance consultant with 20 years of experiences and launched over 340 businesses. Like, wow. She's an international speaker. She's an author of course, #1 international best-selling books such as Anatomy of Accomplishment and Step into the Spotlight to Expand Your Influence. And she's also a CEO of 3 businesses, and one of them, which is how I connected to Colleen, was through Lead Up for Women, which is a community that boasts tens of thousands of women, female entrepreneurs that are driven by their passions, and they're there to support each other, to promote each other's businesses with purpose, and just fuel those female voices with power, that leading the way for women all around the world, so that we can make sure that we do dominate that entrepreneurial market. So welcome to the program, Colleen.
Thank you, Annie. It's such an honor to be with you today.
Oh, it's just a great delight to have you on the program. So where do we even start? How on earth have you, over 20 years, launched 340 businesses? Let's just start there. What kind of business?
Yeah. I would say on an average, I probably had about 40 clients, anywhere from 30 to 40 clients at a time that I was working with. So as you can imagine, in a regular work week, I was extremely busy.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I haven't really ever said on a podcast or said to anyone before was, one of my clients said to me, how many clients are you working with? I said, well, I think at the time I had about 39. And she said, how is that even possible? Because every time I get on the phone with you, it's like I'm your only client.
Yeah.
And, I think that's the most important piece, was why I was so successful. And it wasn't that I launched businesses that tanked, right? So why I was so successful working with the CEOs and the business owners that I worked with was because I really got into the trenches with them. I felt their pain. I celebrated their wins with them. And I really treated them individually like their own situation. So, you have to remember, when you're working with people, you have to meet them where they are and really work through the process with them. And they're not a number. They're not, just kind of the next person in line. We really need to treat people for their specific situation, what they're going through, what the map of their world looks like, what the map of what's happening, because these are individual people like you and I, Annie, that are putting up, their kids' college funds, they're mortgaging their homes, they're putting up hundreds of thousands of dollars to open up a business, and they want it to be successful. And they're afraid of failure, just like any of us as entrepreneurs are afraid of failure. So I think it's very important that we recognize how much they're sacrificing, and that when we're working with people, we put in the sacrifice too.
Yeah.
And that was really, for me, what taught me a lot about business, about working in business, scaling businesses, launching businesses. And then I would have owners that would come back to me and want to launch a second or a third business. And then that becomes a whole different mindset of running multiple businesses, because you can't be in the business when you're running multiple businesses like that. That's when you have to really learn how to delegate, have processes and procedures in place. So that was a different mindset. But I really enjoyed all my years in working with businesses and being able to provide individual owners, men and women and couples, with their dream of what they've always wanted to do, was have that freedom to take their children to school or spend time with their family in the evenings, not have to travel as much, and then make an impact on the community. And, that was what I loved the most out of what I did. And when you're working with that many clients for that many years in a row, it's very easy to scale to that number very quickly of how many businesses that I was able to launch. And each one of those took an average of about 11 months to launch. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love what you've mentioned there about just that personal attention with each client, because I definitely find that myself, that it is so important. It is so important that they've got your undivided attention when you're coaching them one-to-one, and that, you're not just rolling out a program or, because everyone's situation is their baby. It's unique to them. It's overwhelmingly special to them. That's right. They've put everything on the line. They've often done it very bravely and boldly, right? To actually leave a day job and go, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And then the pressure is huge, and they need that support from you. What did you learn about people in all of this time? So you've got all of those different businesses, and there's obviously the formula of business, launch, growth, scaling, success. What did you learn most about the people that you're working with and how they approach that process?
Yeah, you mentioned it in the beginning there when you said they're all different. So they each have their unique style in how they lead, right? They each have their unique. We used to do a SWOT analysis with them because each one of them have character strengths, right? So we want to leverage the strengths that they have and really help them hire the people that are really possess the strengths of what their opportunities were. So instead of them hiring little mini-me's across the board, it was very important for them to have a very diverse staff and for them to have people working with them. And sometimes they were very young, and we were training 16 and 17-year-olds. And sometimes they were, in their late 20s or early 30s. But the business itself tended to attract younger employees, which can be a challenge when you're, training a younger employee to sell a program to a parent, right? So that can be very difficult. So the one thing I learned through all of that was you have to meet people where they're at, and you have to have compassion for people. There's not a timeline that's set that I pushed people. Like, I didn't try to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just doesn't work. You'll be pushing forever and it'll never get through. I really wanted it to be about them. I wanted it to be about their journey. I wanted it to be about their wants and needs and what they really felt like they wanted to do. I guided them, of course, with all of my experience on, what was best. But I found that when you work with people and show them in black and white and help them arrive to their own decision, then they themselves convince themselves. So I'll give you an example. If we're negotiating a lease for a brick and mortar store, and they have the opportunity for maybe some additional TI dollars for build out versus a longer lease or less money down. And they say to me, what should I do? Right? I don't want to give them the answer on what I think they should do. I want them to arrive at their answer. So I would say, why don't we do this? Let's get it into black and white. So let's see, how much would you have to put down? How much would it cost to do the build out? What is it going to cost over this 10 years? This is how much you pay. Now let's go look at the other one. If they were to pay more build out costs in TI dollars and you put a little bit more down and then you have a longer lease, this is how much you pay over the 15 years. And they look at it and go, well, obviously the 10-year one is the better deal. And I'd say, obviously. So I guess that's the one you should choose. But I mean, treating people and teaching them, but showing them in a way where you're not fishing for them, right? I'm not out there just telling them, yes, no, do this, don't do this, because then they feel like they don't have any authority in that decision. And having the authority in the decision is part of the permission and the ownership of owning a business and being able to do it themselves, but just having me as a guide. So that was probably the most important thing I learned about people. Was some could make really quick decisions, others failed on the trigger and they would procrastinate because they were afraid to make the decision. So I would always start the relationship with I just want you to know that I will always be honest with you. I expect you to always be honest with me. You can approach me with any question that you want. I'll never lie to you. I'll always be, upfront. And I will let you know truthfully if you're doing well in the process, if we're behind, if we're ahead, if you need to speed things up. So it was very nice because for them, they knew that when I came to them and said, okay, do you remember in the beginning when I said I'd always be truthful for you? Here's one of those times. And then it wasn't a hard conversation. And I think so many people have struggles with the quote unquote hard conversations. But when you set the context in the beginning and they know what to expect from you and you know what to expect from them, and you come to them from a loving space and guiding them, like, here's one of those times when I said, you've got to pull the trigger because we're going to lose this deal if you don't make a decision. You can't hem and haw about it anymore. We've got to move forward. They appreciated my guidance rather than feeling like I was pressuring them into something they didn't want to do. So that understanding and respect you have for each other is another big piece of working with people. Yeah.
Oh, beautifully articulated. Absolutely. It's that moment with all of us, really, that you want something so bad, but it's scary. It's terrifying. It can be paralyzing, and so that sort of, what do I do? And having someone, I love what you said there. You help them to go, this is one of those moments, because that's it. It's not therefore personal. It's actually just you're going down to the process. The process means that it's likely you'll reach some, hard walls, and this is one of them. And then so to move forward. And then how much do you notice after they take those steps, which are hard steps, they then skyrocket into that next
Oh my God. I tell every single one of them in the beginning when I work with them, and even my clients now, being in the entrepreneur world and not being in the corporate world, but being out in the entrepreneur world and building my own businesses and helping others build their businesses, just like I did back in corporate America. I always say you're going to look back and not even recognize the person you started in the beginning. I promise you. And I have been through tears. I've been through families that have had children, break arms, the day before their business was going to open. They've had some crazy things happen. We've had floods the morning before businesses have opened. You name it, we've been through it. And some have wanted to back out, they get cold feet. And some just charge forward without, making clear decisions. So you slow some down, you speed some up. But you're always truthful with them, and you remind them that this is their journey. This isn't my journey. This is their journey. And so if they feel that they're being pushed or they're not feeling like they're in control, sometimes you need to slow it down and remind them that they can make that decision to slow things down, because it's about their business. It's their money. It's their journey. And so sometimes I've seen, especially in the corporate world, but in the entrepreneur world, I've seen this as well, Annie, where some people get so caught up in just whatever it is that my consultant or my coach says that I do, I just do. Yeah. And they forget the freedoms that they have to make choices. And sometimes their coach might offer them an opportunity to them or something to do, and it's not landing right for them, right? So maybe some red flags are going off or doesn't settle right with them, but they feel like, well, this is the person I'm working with, so I guess this is what I have to do. And we have to remember that we have the freedoms to challenge those during sometimes, because it might have worked for maybe 4 other clients that my coach worked with, but maybe it doesn't work for me. And so again, getting into the map of the world of that person, meeting them where they're at and understanding them, like my conversations that I have, whether I'm opening similar businesses or very different businesses, every conversation I have is very different because the person is different. Yeah. Their business is different. Their journey is different. And so some you have to handhold a little bit longer, have a different, talk in a different tone with them. Others, they want it short, sweet, to the point. Don't mess around. Let's get on the phone. Let's get off the phone. I'm task oriented. I just want to take action. Yeah. Others, it's not like that. Yeah. You gotta show the whole picture to get the buy-in. So you really have to meld with your client for them to to trust you and know that you're helping them make the decisions that's best for them and not just for a business, quote unquote, Yeah.
All about them, 100%.
Yeah.
So why was your was it your first book, Anatomy of Accomplishment?
Yeah.
Why did you choose that to be your first book?
So
people to achieve.
Yeah, I wanted so bad, I had it on my vision board and I wanted so bad to be an author. And I had a little stack of books on my vision board that said bestseller. And I had an opportunity with a lady that I had brought in a panel in St. Louis that wanted to do a compilation book. And I thought, I've never heard of that before. What's a compilation book? And this was a few years ago. My first again, I'm in this millionaire playground called entrepreneurship for the first time. I've always wanted to write a book, but I don't know what that does for my credibility. I didn't know that more than one person could write a book other than maybe two authors, but I didn't know there could be several. So she came to me and offered me this. And so I took her up on the offer. And that was my first book that I had ever done. So that was like me tipping my toe in the water of being an author. And then after I wrote a chapter in that book and got to know all the other ladies, I've collaborated now with the ladies in the book so many times over, and they've gone and written their own books, and they've written quotes for my books. And I went on to write 2 journals that came to me during meditation one day that I felt like I needed to write. So those 2 journals are behind me here if anyone's watching on video. And they're just small, journals. One's just lined with some affirmations in it. And the other one actually has writing your 10 gratitudes every day. And the second page is about your intentions for the day and setting those and what you're going to do to take care of things you need to take care of, but take care of yourself. And I needed it at that time. That was something I needed to write it down every day and make sure I was taking care of myself. Because again, as entrepreneurs, if we don't have anyone monitoring our work, some of us, like me, are overachievers, and then we can work too much. And that would be at the detriment of our own health. And with that, I needed the reminder of what I needed to do every day to take care of myself, what I was going to do for myself. So I wrote that because I knew I couldn't be the only one out there that loved what I did and was so passionate about it that you just forget and the time flies by because it's so great. But then you realize, like, wait a minute, there's a reason why I'm sore. There's a reason why my back hurts. There's a reason why I'm hungry. It's because I haven't moved in 10 hours, and you're not drinking enough water. You're not moving. You're not exercising. So those journals kind of fell out of me. And then the latest book is Step Into the Spotlight to Expand Your Influence that I compiled and got 11 authors together with me. And it's just phenomenal. It's every way that a female can step into the spotlight to expand her influence. So it's expanding your influence through vision writing, expanding your influence through speaking, through being an Instagram influencer. So it's all these different ways that we as entrepreneurs can expand our influence. So it's really like a business manual on how to expand your influence to attract more clients instead of having to cold call or go fishing for them, and constantly meeting new people and understanding that the people that are already in your community, are the ones that are probably most likely your buyers. And so you don't have to look at the rotating door, constantly in your business. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. That is super exciting to go from a moment of, I'm just part of something, and then be able to be, I'm now coordinating others to have that opportunity. And I love the whole essence of collaboration, because that's obviously one of my passion topics, and to be able to be collaborating with women. And that's right, not just to make that happen and to then build confidence so that you could go to your next level, but then you were also then able to give that platform to them, on their journey, and be able to, that's right, now be on each other's podcasts and be in other opportunities and speaking events. That's what it's all about. It's actually building this global tribe, right? Has that then led you to be Lead Up for Women, right? Because now, like women, you need to be helping each other here.
Yeah, that is, coming from corporate, there's not a tribe there of women. I'm going to just throw that out there and squash whatever belief anyone else has. And many women that have come from that world understand that it is really difficult. And not every other woman is supportive of you. Most of my mentors and sponsors were males.
Yeah.
And they were who really helped me get where I needed to go in my career. And the women, not so much. Did I leave some really good friends? Yes. Are they still my friends? Yes. I'm not saying all women are bad. In corporate America, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the majority of women struggle because there's very few seats at the top in the executive, seats. So they're fighting for 1 or 2 seats instead of banding together and creating 3 or 4 more seats. And so I didn't like that feeling in corporate America of that. So I had decided I knew that stepping in the spotlight for me changed my career, catapulted my career. How could I help women in the entrepreneurial world do that? If I had a women's organization that I created, that I controlled, meaning the women in this organization are not mean girls, they're not judgmental, they're not competing. They are kind, they support other women, they understand that there's the law of abundance and they're not scarce, there's no scarcity, so there's no reason to compete. We're just here to help each other, lift each other, share the spotlight with each other. With that, I wanted a community that not only had that foundation, but that could give women credibility. And when I came out in the entrepreneurial world, that was when I realized, wow, we need a lot of credibility out here. And a lot of women don't have that, right? I came from the corporate world and had a lot of credibility I brought with me of years of working in business. And a lot of women didn't have that. How could I help them? And then I get out here and find out being an author is credibility, speaking's a credibility, having a podcast is a credibility, all the things I didn't have in corporate America that I needed to acquire. So how could I help other women do that? So my life's work is about building platforms for women. The magazine's a platform. The podcast is a platform. The Teaching Tuesday workshops that we promote and they host, platform. Member Monday Spotlight platform. Thrive Thursday Spotlight platform. You name it. I've created chapters, platforms, spotlights, and it's all for the members to just consistently be promoted all the time throughout my community every day. Every day I'm running another event or I'm spotlighting someone on social media or on YouTube or on the radio or on a podcast or in the magazine. You name it, we're consistently promoting women because that's what they need. And that's what all the businesses that I opened all those years, that was the number one thing we worked on, was being visible in the community. You have to get connected in the community, let people know you're there, because there's that, you build it, they will come. You don't just build a website online and then, hundreds of thousands of people just start going to it. You have to tell them it's there, to build the traction. So I know how crucial that is for women in business. So I wanted to make sure that part of the community was not only supporting each other, but then having that opportunity for them to shine.
Absolutely fantastic. And I've definitely noticed that over my career too, exactly the same sort of journey, that I've been more mentored by men and I've been in that very competitive space of, that's right, if you're a female CEO, then I've been for the last decade, that there's only so many people, females who are in those roles, and it is so important to actually change that. What are you noticing about the cultural shift then, since you started up Lead Up for Women, that culture of actually getting women to not only love the concept of it, but to believe in it, to believe that you don't need to be competing with each other, you actually need to unite, because that's a different concept, right? We all love to go, oh yeah, I'm there for you, babe. And then you kind of like go, but if you're actually going, okay, I'm trying to build my business in a similar space, how's that working? Is that wave really smashing hard now, or is it still in a time of transition?
I see a lot more women today coming together and helping each other, a lot more women than I ever have before. In fact, I would say the year 2021, I feel it's stronger than I ever did back even in 2019, you know, as an entrepreneur. It's really strong this year, and they're not afraid. And the more that they see by example, right, the more that they're modeling, they're not afraid to get into the spotlight. They're feeling more comfortable doing that, you know, in this nurturing space that I provided for them. But more than that, Annie, I feel like they're not afraid of other women in their space, because I collaborate with so many other female organizations and I bring them in to Lead Up for Women. So when I'm promoting Lead Up for Women, I'll say, and next week on Tuesday, Foxy Women is inviting you to their networking event, and the Grand Connections is inviting you to their networking event. And I collaborate with other women's organizations. And when they see me do that, and they see how they get to expand their influence in all these other communities as well and meet so many new people, then they realize, like, wait, this is really working. The more we collaborate with other people, the more I'm actually getting more clients and expanding, and I'm not worried about competition, because it doesn't hurt my membership to expand with other and collaborate with other women's groups, because they don't offer what I offer. There isn't a community out there that does. In fact, if you looked at every women's community out there, not one of them are ran the same, offer the same. They might have similarities, but you're not going to get the same from each group. There's Polka Dot, another one that we collaborate with, Win, you name it. There's a plethora of women's groups that I want the women in my community to become a part of their community as well.
Yeah. I love that. So you're actually practicing what you preach, really. You know, that's
oh
right.
yeah.
And you have to do that, because people watch you when you're a coach, when you're leading, they'll be looking at that going, okay, she says it's all great, we should do it, but does she do it herself? And that is a massive part of their trust in you, and that credibility to go, yeah, I'm not worried about that. And I love also that you've referenced, you know, that personal branding that is just getting stronger and stronger in all areas of business now. And it aligns to what you were saying about those that you coach, that at the end of the day, people need to resonate with you and what you have to offer, and you have to be able to connect with them. And so it's like any business, you know, you're solving someone's problem, you're meeting their needs, and not everybody will get that from the same business. You know, that's why it's great that there are varieties, and even if they are in that similar space, your client will be happier, you know. And if you actually help them on their way to find that, then they'll be thankful, right? Because when they get the result, they're like, oh my gosh, they're actually very likely to come back to you at a different time for a different reason.
Right.
And I love that about it, you know, that you don't have to go, oh, no, I don't want to tell you. It's like, yeah, help them out.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you, I'm not the community for everyone, and I'm not the coach for everyone. Absolutely not. And I know that. There's been women in my community that have not hired me. And during one of my events for a lunch and learn, and they went into a room, and then they hired one of the coaches that was in the room, right? So and they were both members of Lead Up for Women, and they wind up working together. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is what this is all about. The goal is for you to find your tribe and find the resources you need in your business. It doesn't matter who it is in the community or outside the community. All women need to find that fuel of that tribe that they trust, and all women need to have the resources necessary to grow their businesses. So wherever you find those resources, it doesn't matter, just find them, because in the end game for this, my vision is much bigger than Lead Up for Women expanding. My vision for women is women expand into these roles and leaderships in Fortune 500 companies. And instead of 3% of them being women, why don't we have 60% of them being women, or 50% of them being women? And why don't we have 80% of women in entrepreneur? I mean, we already control global spending by 82%.
Yeah.
So if we already control global spending, that goes to show that we have so much still that's offered as opportunities for us out there in business. And the more that we help each other grow our confidence in being able to do it and support each other along the journey, the faster we're going to get there. We fight against ourselves, compete, judge, do all those things. We're never going to get there.
Exactly.
Never going to get there.
The ultimate sabotage on yourself, and each other. Yeah, absolutely. I know. When what influences are we with that kind of control on spending in world economies? I mean, that's massive in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, extremely influential. What are the main reasons, besides competing with each other and that culture that was unfortunate? What are the other reasons that women don't naturally speak up to lead up? They are hesitant in being, putting themselves into the spotlight, to expanding their influence. They like the idea of it, but they still hesitate. Why?
I've seen this, Annie, all the way from CEOs of companies that were over hundreds and thousands of people down to the solopreneur. It always comes down to worth. It always comes down to worth. They could have earned that spot,
Yeah.
and been at the top of that company. And when they're asked to share a message to the employees, the imposter syndrome sets in and they think, what could I possibly say to inspire anyone? All the way down to the solopreneur that just started her business and is trying to get her self-confidence up to get out there because she wonders, does anyone want to buy what I have to sell? Does anyone believe in what I have to sell? Does anyone need what I have to sell? And the answer is yes. If you have a calling and you're being pulled to do something and you have a skill set that's been, God-given of something that you are amazing at doing and really no one else can do it the way you do it, then the answer is yes. And you're robbing people by not bringing that to the surface and bringing it out there. And there's so many women that are still hiding in the shadows and shrinking back. Yeah. And it really all comes down to worth. They don't. And I struggled with this when I left corporate America too. I was, doing really well in corporate America and was really good at what I did. And then when I took that leap and said, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to leave it. I was like, wow, my self-worth was tied to how much money I made. And I never realized that until I didn't make any money. Yeah. And then I sat there like, so what does this mean? So what does my existence mean then? Because if I've always been the breadwinner and I've always brought in an abundant amount of money, then what does that mean of who I am today? And so sometimes stripping yourself of a lot of these other things around us that we think build what our worth is, and really scaling it down to look inside to understand what your worth is, that's when you really can build the future that you want, because you start from the inside to build the outside. And I had to stop and go back inside after all those years of what I had accomplished to say, hey, who are you and what do you bring to the table? And I had to build it from scratch again. And I know a lot of women struggle with that. And I also know that the more that each one of us are there to help them, to guide them, to put them in the spotlight, but say, don't worry, I'll hold your hand through the entire interview. I'll never let you fall. You will look amazing by the time we're done. Just helping them really believe in themselves in every step of the way. And that, it doesn't matter if you're an actress, if you're a billionaire, they all struggle with imposter syndrome, because every time you reach another level, you struggle before you expand, and get uncomfortable. And then you get back into your comfort zone again. But at every level, we struggle when we hit that level. So when we get comfortable and like, okay, we got this and we're rolling along, you're going to hit that level again. And then it's going to get uncomfortable for a while and you're going to feel like you've got imposter syndrome. But that's a good thing, because that means you've hit that level and now you need to grow past it. That's the only way to get bigger and make a greater impact, And I tell women all the time, I know you don't want to talk about money and you're out here for your purpose, but I always tell them, you cannot make a great impact if you have no money, if you're broke.
Exactly.
So you're out here to make money. And they're like, money is not that important to me. I go, if you tell money it's not important, money will stay away from you. You will have tumbleweeds flowing through your bank account. Promise you that. Yeah. So money is important. It's important for us to make any impact on the world, for us to pay our bills, for us to be able to put other people to work, for us to build businesses, for us to help other women build businesses, for us to be able to fully impact charities. Money matters. Yeah. And so if you're an entrepreneur, money matters, and we need to treat it that way. Yeah. And you need to want to go after a lot of it, because the more money you have, the greater impact you can have. It creates opportunity, not happiness. It creates opportunity. And what you do with that opportunity is what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's what you do with it. I
Yeah.
totally agree. It's amazing. As a fellow coach, that's it. One of the first questions you ask a client is, well, what financial goals do you want to achieve? At the moment, I've just developed a new course online on how to create online courses, because people want to create online courses. And like you can help people make a course, but they're all about, I just want to have my passion there. I want to be able to package it because this is all my knowledge. And I'm like going, yeah, but how much do you want to earn from this? What are you expecting in your revenue? If you're actually putting out, it is about money as well. It's a balance. You want to obviously live and breathe and love it, but you also want to have that revenue so you can make more things. You can give away things. You can be a philanthropist. You can give to charities. You can do whatever you like. And I love that. I love that. And through the work that you do, that's right. You can mentor and coach women.
Oh yeah.
And have so many more opportunities by being successful.
Yeah.
So on your success journey, this podcast is called Memoirs of Successful Women. What have been your biggest learnings for you, not your clients, in your journey?
Woo. Girl, we could be here all day. Let me tell you, I know my biggest learning, two pieces. One, we can't do it by ourselves. So as much as you think you have to do it all and do it all on your own, that is the hardest road you will travel. So you can build your business on your own. You cannot hire people to help you. You cannot hire a coach. You can try and do it on your own, but it will be a long, windy journey. Or to me, this, speed is the fastest path to wealth. So I like to hire people to help me along the way that have already done it before me. And so I just model what they do. I learn from them. So, you became rich. Tell me how you did that. How did you build that women's organization? What did you do? So I have no problems asking. Asking's the biggest piece. And the one area that I failed so much in the beginning building this, until I was like, why don't you just go back to how you helped everyone else, right? We forget because you help so many other people, but then you never take that advice and apply it to your own business. It's a very common entrepreneurial mistake that we all make.
Yeah.
But I hired people and spent a lot of money in the beginning that promised me all these great shiny things.
Yeah.
And most of them did not deliver. I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't interview them as well as I should have. I didn't follow up with people they had previously worked with to get testimonials or to talk with them. And if it's one thing I can offer to anyone on this journey to success, if you want to be successful quicker, anybody you hire, understand who's worked with them before, what they've been able to accomplish, look into it, ask them, interview them, really understand that they're the right person for you and that they're going to be able to deliver to you what it is that you need. And don't just jump into it blind with 2 feet and say, sure, and throw money at them because you think they're going to be the silver bullet that's going to make you, rich. It doesn't happen that way. There's no silver bullet. So really do your due diligence when you're working with anyone to build a website for you, or like Annie said, build courses for you. Make sure this person's already done it before and has been very successful with what they've done before.
Yeah.
I would never have hired a coach if I didn't know her background, how she is with business, what she's currently doing with her businesses she's had in the past, successes she's had. I don't want to hire someone that's never built their own business or has any clue how to build success. Why would I hire that person to help me do it, right? You want to hire someone that's like 10 steps ahead of you. So that was probably the biggest mistake I made, was just hiring all these people thinking they were going to be the ones to help me, because you're grasping at straws at that point, because you have a lot of time and energy and little money. Little money and a lot of time, but yet you keep spending and investing more money. And then before you know it, you've invested all this money and you're still stuck with nothing.
Yeah.
So hire the right people and do your due diligence the first time around.
Oh, I think that is such brilliant advice, and so common that there's a lot of shiny, glossy branding out there. And when that's right, when you enter a new space, not only do you you're concerned about, do I know everything and how will I do it? You don't know who to trust and all that. And think about it, when we're in our corporate environment, whatever, we've got HR, we go through stringent processes to actually find out someone's credentials, their referees, their work experience, all of their successes and their challenges. We do that very well. And it's a real risk in the world of entrepreneurism, because you then suddenly, you're trying to work it out yourself. That's right. You don't have that much money. The temptation for quick wins is so high. And so I actually am not surprised actually that's one of your biggest learnings. And I think it's such a good thing for people to hear listening in, that's right. You actually want to, ask those people too, ask questions, ask how did they, put it all together? What if you could get 3 people helping your business at a certain time? What would they be? Who would they be? And why? Because it can be overwhelming, right? At all those different stages, where to invest. So how do people find you? How do they connect with you? How do they find out all about, what you have to offer, how to get connected with Lead Up for Women?
Thank you, Annie, for asking that question. I made it very easy for everyone. So we are on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, our podcast, everything's Lead Up for Women. That's where you find me. So you can find our podcast, Lead Up for Women, our magazine, Lead Up for Women, our website, leadupforwomen.com, Instagram, Lead Up for Women, Pinterest, Twitter. We're everywhere and we post everywhere. So I do a word of the day everywhere. I have a YouTube channel that I teach things on. We do events every day of the week. And, most of these events are free.
Yeah.
In fact, every event we do is free. So of course we want women to be able to, get the opportunity to try out the community, meet some of the other women, see if this is the right tribe for them. We join too many groups is what happens. And then we don't really dig down deep in the groups we're in to see what they can offer us. And I would like to challenge all your listeners. It might not be Lead Up for Women, but I wanted to challenge them to look at the groups they're in today. Maybe it's 50, 25, 10, whatever it may be. Facebook groups. Are they bringing you a return? Are they bringing you value? Do you find value in the group? Are you engaging with the group? If the answer to that is no, try seeing if that's the group you want to engage with. If you find that it's not, then get rid of it. So simplify your life. Find the tribe that's going to be there to fuel you, because so many women I hear, oh, I'd love to join, but I don't have enough time. Well, it won't be worth your while if you're not going to put time in to show up. So I definitely want to say, find your tribe, because we need a tribe. If Lead Up for Women's that tribe, great. We are here for you. We can serve you. If we're not, we know so many other tribes that maybe another tribe would be the tribe for you. So find the tribe that's right for you, that fuels you, that you need on your journey. And then when you find that one, show up, dig in deep. Don't go wide, just go deep. And get the value from that group that you need. And of course, we would love to invite anyone to join any of our events or any of our, daily activities that we have going on, or download the magazine or the 10 tips, or just participate any way they can. Sure. Yeah.
Well, listeners, definitely go to leadupforwomen.com and check it out. It's an amazing, amazing group of women globally who are just all out about supporting each other. So much free support and just get yourself connected. I think it can be very lonely for people who recently become entrepreneurs. You suddenly left the workplace, you're doing your own thing. There are struggles. We've all just been and still going through COVID and the impacts of. It's so important to find your tribe and connect with a group who are not just there just to sell. Actually, the essence is actually, just bring out your essence, be the best person you can be, to learn and grow from others and with others on their journey. And I love everything about what you do. So I thank you so much for sharing with me and the listeners today. And I definitely wish you all the best in your future success.
Thank you so much, Annie. I appreciate that. And if you have the opportunity and want to allow me, I'm happy to give a free gift to all of your listeners as well.
Awesome.
If that's something great. So I'm only doing this for Annie's podcast. We have an event coming up in August, And I want to offer, this one is the only paid event we've ever done. And it's August 11th through the 13th. And of course, I want to offer your listeners a free ticket. So this is going to be my 20 years of business experience. I'm bringing it to 3 days, and we're just going to do business training for 3 days. I want women to have the tools they need, gain the clarity they need, really feel that support from the community. And so it's just 3 full days of business training for them. And I know this is things we used to do back in the corporate days, but like you said, as entrepreneurs, we don't get the opportunity to get a lot of that training anymore. So I would love to bring my knowledge to your listeners and give them a free ticket. So I'll make sure you have the link for that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll definitely be putting it on my podcast platform. And to, everyone, what an offer. I'll certainly take it up. Who doesn't want to just continually learn and grow and tap into, your wealth of experience? And so thank you for offering that. That sounds absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes and, of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.